Hey guys, it's Alex from 7th Hour Films, back again with Merlin. Last time on Merlin, we had the Lady of the Lake. Merlin saved this, sorceress girl, who had been captured by a bounty hunter and was going to be sold to Uther. And, he did save her, but, she had a curse that she turned into a horrible beast at the stroke of midnight. And eventually things got out of hand, but before that, the two of them fell in love. They were going to run away from Camelot, and then she died. And then he took her body to the lake. The only lake in existence. He took her there. Yeah, and that was pretty much that. This is where I say no spoilers in the comments. This is also where I say that if you want to watch my reaction to this episode of Merlin, it is not in this reaction video due to copyright reasons, so you can head down to the description or to the pinned comment, and there'll be a link there that will take you to my highlight reaction, which, it's a 10-minute reaction. Footage is in the corner, it's all edited and good. And if you want to go a little bit further than that, over on my Patreon, you can access full unedited reactions to Merlin and all the other shows I react to, just for $5 a month. So yeah, with that being said, we might as well get right into this episode of Merlin. Here we go. Okay. Man, oh man, that was that one was interesting. Oh boy, I can't. So here's something I have to say real quick. I can't really say "bang on the side" anymore. I mean, I can keep saying it just because it's funny, but at the same time, someone did point out that they can't. Arthur and Gwen really can't bang on the side because without the proper protection, that could lead to some bastards for Arthur, and that would not be good. That would not be good for the kingdom. If Game of Thrones has taught me anything, it's probably not good for royalty to have bastards. So, I mean, I can keep saying "bang on the side" just because it's funny, but at the same time, I can't now. So, yeah, that's all right. So that's pretty much that. An interesting, fun episode, and kind of like I said, there is no one other than Merlin, the show Merlin, can produce some of the actual cringiest scenes, but they all work in context. Like, it's not that, oh man, this show is so cringy. It's like, no, these are intentional. Like, some of these scenes are intentionally supposed to be that way. But, man, oh man, it just, oh god, it kills me, man. It kills me. Just the intentional cringe of this show. It is crazy. And it kills me, man. So, alright. Let's go ahead and start going over the notes. I don't know how much I'm actually going to talk about this, honestly. It may not be too long of a discussion, so we'll see. The first thing I wrote down was the 5 kingdoms. That was interesting. So the 5 kingdoms that I guess these will be the 5 kingdoms that unite into the land of Albion, in the prophecy about Arthur. I like that, bring in the 5 kingdoms, even though we really only dealt with 2 of them, Olaf and King Olaf and King Alaned. King Alaned, yeah. So we really only dealt with them. We didn't really deal with the other 2 from the 5 kingdoms, but I like this idea of, these peace talks, so there's not going to be any wars anytime soon. Now, of course, obviously all of this is kind of excuse me. Oh man, I'm tired. Now, all of this, could be subject to change. It would actually be interesting if, for one season of Merlin, it'd be interesting if for one season of Merlin we actually had, like, a war, like an ongoing war that, we had to deal, like, we brought all the characters, like, because I could see, because I feel like almost all of our main characters could be involved in a war. Uther and Arthur would be at the head. Gaius would be the physician. Merlin being Arthur's attendant, basically, and Gaius's attendant. The only two I couldn't see if we went to a war, if we actually had like a war storyline, the only two that wouldn't be there, I feel like, would be Morgana and Gwen, just because Gwen would only be there for Morgana, and there's no reason for Morgana to be there, So, that would be the only thing. Although, it would be interesting if maybe we cut back to them, dealing with, maybe keeping Camelot. If Uther and Arthur are gone, who's left in charge? Maybe it could be Morgana. But this is all speculation of something that may or may not even happen, so... but yeah, the Five Kingdoms, that was interesting. Again, I kind of wish we saw the other two, but, we were primarily dealing with King Olaf and King Alaned. So yeah. I wrote down Vivian. She was interesting. Just starting off just completely rude, too. She was just completely rude, and it's like, oh man, if anyone goes after the daughter, goes after Vivian, Olaf's gonna kill him and stuff like that. It's like, look, I get it. She is beautiful, but it's like, it sucks. She's a horrible person, She's incredibly rude. So, and then the whole love potion, that was all interesting, at first getting Arthur and then getting Vivian, and all of this at the cost of Gwen. That's the part I hated the most. The fact that we had to see all of this sort of, crap on Gwen for a while. Like, even just with, Merlin's misunderstanding and sending the note to Gwen, and then, her sending the note, but she didn't sign it, so he went to Vivian and not Gwen. Oh god, it was just so bad. I feel so bad for this poor girl. But then, because I was wondering, it's like, okay, what are we doing here? That it's like, what are we doing that, like, why do we have to keep involving Gwen? It's just so uncomfortable to watch. But I understand at the end with, that, letting Gwen break the spell, basically. That was clever. I did like that. I wrote down Destiny when he knocked on the door. It's like, who is it? It's Destiny. It's like, oh my gosh, this love potion has given him the dumbest of pickup lines. So that was funny. I did like the Jester. What is it? The Trickler? That's a weird name. I did like the Trickler. He was funny, his overacting was, through the roof, which was fun and good. So he was an interesting villain. And he had, great chemistry with, King Alaned. Yeah, Alaned. He had great chemistry with the king too, so that was funny. The king was he was a little interesting too, Like, did he say at one point, it's like, everyone is attracted to Arthur. Even I'm attracted to him a little bit. It's like, all right, learn something about you, I guess. And, saying like, I will, for the sake of your prettiest part. And it's like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like, all right, if you say so, man. So that was funny. The two of them were funny. It would be interesting to see them back as villains. Especially because, they're okay with sorcery. I mean, the Trickler is a sorcerer. So, it could be interesting to bring him back. Olaf, I I did like Olaf. He was interesting. I'm glad, he just sort of, at the end, like, he was like, okay, this was some sort of weird misunderstanding or something. And so he does let it go. Even though they don't explain that, Arthur and Vivian were enchanted. So yeah. That was interesting. And, his overprotectiveness of his daughter was kind of funny. And yeah, so, and then I guess, the next thing I wrote down was the tourney. That was interesting too. So basically there are three chances to fight to the death, basically. Sorry, I thought I heard something. So there's basically three chances to fight to the death. One with staves, okay. One with maces, okay, that's a bit better. And then the final one with swords. That's interesting. They did vary it up because, let's face it, Arthur's been in a lot of these, death matches, where it's only just been a sword. So I do kind of like that they vary it up. And they do show that Olaf is an incredibly capable warrior, able to keep up with Arthur like that. However, I do like the distinction that technically Arthur should still be able to win everything. It's just that the first two times he kept getting distracted by Vivian. He kept getting distracted because he would look at her and then Olaf would, go in and, hit him. So that was that was an interesting little point to it as well. And then when he wasn't enchanted, when he got disenchanted, he was able to actually win. And he could have killed him, but luckily he didn't. And then the last thing I wrote down was love. So his love for Gwen broke the enchantment. That was interesting, and I love when they cut to the dragon and he's laughing again. I love it when the dragon laughs at what's happening. It's always funny. So, and I like too when the dragon's like, this can only be broken by a force that, a higher force that neither you and I could understand. And it's like, what? And it's like, oh, love. So just like the way he was talking about it was funny. So yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting. I like that. And then, Gwen going in. I like there was no, like, I like that there was kind of no build up to it. She just went in and he was like, oh, you here to wish me luck? And she was like, nope, and just went for it. It's like, I just love how fast that was. So, yeah, that was funny. I did like that. I did like that she just went for it, and then it just broke him of it. So, yeah. And then at the end, when it's like, it is 100% confirmed between the two of them. They just cannot do anything about it. And he's actually a bit more hopeful about it than she is. She's kind of like, yes, well, you will find another love, and she will be your princess. And he's like, well, maybe things could change. So basically, like, Arthur is a bit more optimistic about having a relationship with Gwen, whereas she's a bit more pessimistic about it, saying, no, this isn't going to happen. And he's like, well, it could happen. Things could change. And she's like, well, until it does, I will continue to serve you, my lord. And it's like, aw, man. So yeah. This was a good episode. I did enjoy it. And, yeah, even with the intentionally cringy scenes, I did enjoy it. I do feel like it opens up some possibilities to future episodes. Like, maybe we could get a war. Wouldn't that be interesting? Maybe we could get a war. Maybe King Alaned can return someday as a future villain. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But, yeah, that is pretty much it. So with all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my Merlin reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.